son. I just got done in a heat race or something, and I was up in the stands, and they called out on the loudspeaker. I think it was you, Phil.
Could have been.
Said, you need to go to the pits. I said, okay, I don't know why. So I go down there, and here's Dad, and he's got a fat lip. I said, what happened? You know? He says, well, I was pushing, he was getting some parts for, trying to get something for Mike's phone, I think it was. And he was in a hurry, and we had a push bumper, and Rally Root wanted to push him off, you know, because he was happy right there. Well, Dad was, of course, in a hurry to help Mike, so he couldn't do it. And I think it was Rally or one of his pit people called him an old son of a bitch. So he immediately, Dad having kind of a short fuse, he jumps out. Rally's a pretty good sized boy. I mean, he was, you know, a big guy. So Dad, he said, well, I can must get an equalizer. He picks up a rock and he gets Raleigh. Was it Raleigh gets him? He never lived that down. We used to give him so much crap about that. He said, you're 60 years old. You don't do that. Not him. The racing was his life, and he loved it. Loved the guys that he raced with.
Hey, Bruce, I enjoyed that dinner that night. Tell us, just to get you going again, I want you to talk about the gas station incident.
Oh, Jesus. The Raven guys who like that. They used to have a big, Nick's the one who was driving for Dad, and everybody knows Nick, he's crazier than heck. So they pull in, they were going to St. Troy to race at the fairgrounds down there. And Nick, he was driving Dad was actually driving they just towed him behind there for the tow bar, the cars. Didn't have trailers back then. And they towed down to, they stopped at this gas station, and about that time some of the Raymond guys pulled in there. And Nick, he's over there, he liked to jack his jaws a lot, you know. I mean, he was pretty a trash talker. And he got up there, was jacking at him, you know. And all of a sudden, he comes running over to the pickup. He tells Dad, he says, get out there, get over there, scoot over. Dad says, what? You know, he says, just scoot over. So Nick bails in there, and he says, by God, they might beat me on the track, but they're not going to beat me to the track. I mean, I'll never forget them telling me that story. Anyway, thank you everybody. You guys did an awesome job. You know, a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce, again, for all your information and help there. Again, I'll mention your lovely sister Cheryl, of course, Cheryl Reed. She's been here, obviously longer than me. She's one of my 6 fans I have here at Grace Harbor Raceway. So I've always appreciated having her and her husband Ron. I've watched Race and Jason grow up. I got to quit calling him that. He's grown up now. You know, but maybe he will strap into a car one of these days. We don't know, right? He's shaking his head yes, so you never know. Another Montesano car owner being inducted into the Hall of Fame is obviously well-deserved. It's Howard Carter, who we just mentioned a few moments ago. Carter, along with his brother Trace, began their auto racing roots back into the beginning of organized racing in Grays Harbor Raceway. Howard was known as an innovator who didn't follow the conventional path of many racers back in the day. One good example that Bruce gave me, as a matter of fact, I think it was, I like to say he'd do everything different. It was back in the mid-60s when they started to go to the wings. Howard had a friend who worked at Boeing. Some of you probably remember this. So he had him design a special wing that looked like a bat wing. I don't know, was Batman pretty big back then? It might have been. I don't know. Made it look like a bat wing, but again, was very, very effective. He also ran the flathead V8 Ford with 4 carburetors on that one. His cars were always some of the quickest on the racetrack. Howard Carter, come on up.
It was fun trying to get a track started. We had one problem, dust. That was good. We tried water. That didn't last. The sun dried it up. So they decided to put on crankcase oil. The bad part, we almost lost our crowd because all the women's hair was brown, everybody else was brown. That, I think, didn't last too long. We had to kind of laid the track. As far as race cars, it was a lot of fun. I got asked to drive, but I had strict orders from my doctor. He didn't want to see me in the car because of injuries. But one day, we were with Elma and decided they pushed me into the car and said, "You go out and warm it up." And well, I kept going faster and faster, and I thought, well, I'm doing pretty good. About that time, next one, I went around the outside of me and looked at me and grinned. I decided right then that other people to drive, I'll work on. We do appreciate everything and being even nominated for this. I met a lot of people, a lot of good friends, still have. We thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Okay, well, we still have a couple of awards to give away, but we're going to go ahead and have everybody come up now, I believe, and take that group photo. So if you would step on up with your fine-looking jackets on, that would be awesome. While you're doing it, a couple things I do want to mention before I forget. Of course, Aaron Reed doing some videotaping again today, of course. Nathan Prince is hiding back there in the corner. John Fletcher, Jack Fordyce, thank you guys. If you want to see some great photos, folks, of this incident today, that's where you gotta go.